So it's been 6 weeks, left home on March 15th and got the house finally. So today's the day I'll be hooking up and setting up the trailer. So just for now, I backed up the truck to the trailer, but it's done great. The Winnebago Hike 215 HS. I've been through at least kind of 2 feet of snow between different locations. No damage. Some of the heavy winds like you can hear now. It's been rough. So there'll be some work that I need to do on it. So today I'm gonna clean out the black tank, get it everything closed up, and then I'll head down towards the house. So one of the first things that I do, especially after this long a trip, is I'm going to rinse the black water tank out. Now, something that I've found is that I like to put brass fittings in this. In this case, I'm putting a 90-degree elbow on the black water tank. Now, it is colder today. It's I think it's just 37, something like that. So the hose isn't cooperating quite right. But it makes it easier, especially on cold days, to get this off. So I'm gonna let this spin a little bit, and then I'm actually gonna probably rinse it 2 or 3 times to make sure I've got all the mess out of it. But when you're on the road this long, it tends to drop into the center of the tank. So you want to make sure and clean all of it as best as possible. And then I'll, of course, when I'm done, put in a few 2 or 3 of the drops for the black water, and then I'll dump the freshwater tank, not freshwater, but the gray water tank second. That ensures that at the end of all this, I've got a fairly clean hose. Now, another thing that I do is I don't need the freshwater filter anymore. So I actually pull it off first because I don't need to fill up our freshwater tank. And I let it drain and get all the water out of there, and then I'll actually clean out this piece, the housing for the filter, so that it's ready to go for the next trip. But I'll do that at home. Just a little chilled today. And you'll notice that on my truck, I love my truck, it's a Ford F-250. It's got the 7.3 liter gas in it, which is great. Sits up great, haven't had any problems off-roading with it. But something we added recently was this, not only the roll and lock XT, which, by the way, it's great, it stays shut, but we put on the new side T-bars. And what that does is it gives us the Rhino rack, and then we can utilize these bike racks. So this is going to be great. We can also put on a couple baskets or anything from Thule on there. It just makes it so I've got a dry interior and we can really work on it. All right, a little bit later here, I filled the tank up a little bit more. I try to get it full before I do it. Turn the water off. Now, there's something with that I found is that on my gray water, my black water, excuse me, the original was leaking a bit, and because I was on the road, I didn't want to try to take this whole thing off. So for about 20 bucks, I believe it was, I was able to buy this Volterra, excuse me, gate valve. So basically it gives me a second valve so I don't have any problems with it coming out. And then of course it's gravity fed, and I don't know, you can tell how sick you are, I guess, by looking. while I'm rinsing, I'm gonna just take a quick walk through. So after basically almost 2 months on the road, now there's a couple things missing already. As I said, I emptied the fridge out, and what I do is I go ahead and put a towel in the bottom so that we don't have any water issues, and I'll pull this out when I get to the house. But one of the things that I struggle with is, so my computer and printer took up most of this along with a couple other items. So during this trip, I lived in an area right here. You can see where I had a pillow to sit on, but I've got the laptop up here along with my cold weather gear, and of course the other pieces here. This trailer was phenomenal. I did use a jet boil for my hot water. Because of that, in that 6 to 8 weeks, even though I did use the heater once in a while, I did not have a problem with gas at all. I still have a full bottle in there. But using the jet boil, opened the vents in the bathroom for that, and that actually boils water in, what was it, less than 90 seconds. And then these cabinets I absolutely love. And one of the things that, when you're on the road for a while, that you find out is at night I didn't need to put this big one on, because if you just open these up, it brightens the whole area. So something else that I found with this, there's my seasoning and some plates. Now, a couple of the food items that were in here, of course, are gone. I took those to the house already. The stove worked fantastic. So for the shower, this is one of those things I'm going to have to work on. The wind was so high one night, it pushed this back. And so it'll close. I just need to help it along. No leaks in here. I did have an issue when we had the snow on in Denver, and it didn't close all the way, but no leaks after I got that closed. And then this is my cocoon. So over the last 6 weeks of being in cold weather, so I'm talking, when I arrived, it was 19 degrees, 20 degrees. This was a cocoon. I had pillows and blankets, and you can see a sleeping bag against the wall. And then any clothes that I had, clean clothes or dirty clothes, I actually, since I'm by myself, shoved in that corner and then along the edge here. So I just kept myself in a little cocoon, and I used the space heater here. So, whoops, as I start to kick it over. So it's one of those things where it's something that you can use. I really liked it. I've got it set for 62 since I wasn't in here. There were nights that I was actually hot. It was that bad. I do have a Goal Zero battery that I carry with me. This is more of a just in case. I did not need it at all for this trip, so it worked out really well. And so let's go shut the rinse off and get another one started. Do that is when we all right, so on the septic stuff, we just keep it in here. So we only have the one battery at this point. So I just double check that that's all done. And then this is the handy dandy holder for up here, especially when it's windy like this. This sometimes will pick up the wind and come on down on me. So just try to make sure everything's closed up, and then we'll get this hooked up. All right, so we're hooked up. I got my GPS, of course. Now for the backup camera, I don't normally have it hooked to here, but I forgot my Y for in there. So just take a look. Now normally for this short of a ride, it's only about 30 minutes. I probably wouldn't put the sway bars on. However, with the fact that the wind's picked up again, I'm going to use them. So making sure everything's locked to go by, especially look at your dump, make sure the end cap's on. I've got lights all the way around. Tires look really good. Now, one thing on the truck is I do have it in high 4 right now, because as you look, this is very damp out here, and since I've been sitting so long in that trailer, we're gonna just go ahead and use that as a precaution. Of course, it probably doesn't need it with the weight, but everything's looking good, and we're going home.